Today is Friday, February 13th. We're talking about the unprecedented and controversial immigration enforcement operation coming to an end in Minnesota, and how you could be impacted by a Homeland Security shutdown expected to kick in at midnight. Also, another key development in the search for Nancy Guthrie, and more fallout from revelations in the Epstein Files. Plus, the most aggressive move by President Trump to roll back climate change regulations. All the happy, sad, and history-making moments from the Winter Olympics, and a senior couple's love story that's inspiring romantics everywhere ahead of Valentine's Day. Those stories and even more news to know coming up. Welcome to the Newsworthy, all the day's news in less than 15 minutes. I'm Lacey Evans, in for Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. Let's do this. The largest immigration enforcement deployment in U.S. history is coming to an end. White House border czar Tom Homan announced federal immigration agents will start leaving Minnesota over the course of the next week. Homan says the operation has already been a success, citing figures like 4,000 arrests. But Democratic Governor Tim Walz says the operation left Minnesotans with, as he put it, deep damage, generational trauma, and economic ruin. Of course, federal agents' actions in the crackdown prompted criticism that reached a peak in the aftermath of two deadly shootings, and some critics are still demanding more accountability. For now, immigration agents are still out making arrests in Minnesota, and Homan says a small footprint of agents will stay behind as others transition to their next assignments. To be continued. Top immigration officials were back on Capitol Hill, this time faced with questioning in the Senate. And once again, the big focus was on the deaths of Renee Good and Alex Preddy in the hands of federal officers. The officials were specifically asked about use of force policies and how officers are training in de-escalation. And they watched frame-by-frame video taken by witnesses of the events leading up to Preddy's death. For now, the leaders won't talk about specifics of the ongoing investigation, but they say the body cam footage from agents involved in the Preddy shooting will eventually be released. This comes as the Homeland Security Department is just hours away from a potential shutdown. Legislation to keep DHS running past midnight failed in the Senate. Most Democrats voted against it, saying they haven't made enough progress in negotiations with Republicans to put new restrictions on immigration enforcement. GOP leaders say they were willing to meet some of the Dems' demands, but that others were unreasonable. Either way, the Senate isn't expected to hold any more votes before a shutdown starts, and many senators have already left town. So assuming a shutdown does happen, the agency will have to suspend non-essential operations. That might not matter much to most Americans, since DHS deemed the vast majority of its employees essential last fall, meaning they have to keep working no matter what. Still, many workers could start to miss pay if the shutdown drags on. It's also worth noting a shutdown would directly impact TSA, so it could ultimately lead to airport delays and flight cancellations. There might be slower responses to disaster relief, since FEMA would also be impacted, among other things. To be continued. Investigators are now working with new clues in their search for Today Show anchor Savannah Guthrie's mother. For example, there's a new surveillance video, this one from a home near Nancy Guthrie's property. It shows a man trying to scale a wall around the time of Guthrie's disappearance. He's apparently wearing a gray jacket and backpack, similar to the one worn by a masked man seen outside Guthrie's door that same night. Still, it's not clear whether or how they might be connected. Officials are still hoping for more evidence to make that clearer. They're asking everyone within a 2-mile radius of Guthrie's neighborhood to pull any video that might show something unusual in the month leading up to Nancy's disappearance. The FBI increased the award amount to $100,000 for information leading to Guthrie, or anything that could help them make an arrest in the case. Meanwhile, Savannah Guthrie says she will never give up on her mom, and once again yesterday, she thanked everyone for their hope and prayers. The top lawyer at Goldman Sachs is stepping down in the face of Epstein-related backlash. Catherine Rumler had risen to the top ranks of Wall Street to become Goldman's general counsel. In her past as a prosecutor, she helped try Enron executives. She was also picked as White House counsel by former President Obama, and she was once considered a candidate to be U.S. Attorney General. But the Epstein Files show Rumler was also a close ally of the convicted sex offender through his 2019 arrest. In fact, documents show Epstein called her the night he was arrested. They also detail their chatty emails in which she called him Uncle Jeffrey and confided in him about intensely personal details about her life. She also seemed to advise him on how to respond in the media to women who accused him of abusing them when they were underage. They detail several luxury gifts he gave her, like handbags, a fur coat, $10,000 in Bergdorf Goodman gift cards, spa time, and more. Rumler still insists her relationship with Epstein was only professional and that she regrets ever knowing him. And there have never been any public criminal accusations against her. Goldman Sachs has actually backed Rumler for months, saying she was considered a valuable member of management. Now, as backlash grows, she says leaving is in the best interest of the company. This weekend is ushering in another risk of severe weather, this time for millions of people across the American South. The storm system is expected to bring several inches of rain and thunderstorms from Texas to the Carolinas. It's seen as a relief since much of the region is dealing with the driest winter on record. But storms could also bring flash flooding. There's also a small chance of hail, strong winds, and isolated tornadoes. Everything is set to start today and last for the next couple of days before the storm moves off the East Coast by Monday. More news is still ahead, but first, here's your main host, Erica Mandy, to talk about our sponsor.
Here's something that may surprise you. I still look forward to getting the mail every day. In fact, it's kind of a fun thing my son likes to do with us. He'll run out to the mailbox and loves to turn the key and see what's inside. Plus, there's just something about that physical, personal touch. But you might be asking, Erica, what about the junk mail? Yeah, I know. No thanks. That's why I'm a fan of Gundar. They create smart, targeted direct mail that people actually want. It's not junk. It's intentional, well-crafted mail going to the right audience for the products and services they need. And you know what? There's a level of trust and attention with physical mail. In a world full of AI-generated content and sketchy digital ads, this is something real, hand-delivered by a human. And here's the kicker. Direct mail response rates are way higher than digital, often more than 30 times the response rate of email and other digital ads. So if you're a business owner, CMO, or marketing manager and want to reach better customers and cut through the noise of digital clutter, check out Gundar. And don't miss their free 2026 direct mail lookbook packed with over 500 real creative examples that drive response. Just visit trustdirectmail.com and get yours free. Hand-delivered, of course. That's trustdirectmail.com.
Now, back to the news. The U.S. has now rolled back a landmark climate finding that's been the basis for America's climate change action. We're talking about the finding that greenhouse gases threaten human health and welfare. It was first published in 2009 and is now used to justify and apply limits on emissions from cars, power plants, factories, and more. Without it, it's expected to be difficult for the EPA to regulate greenhouse gases at all. The Trump administration says these efforts will save trillions of dollars in regulatory costs, making it more affordable to buy a car, heat a home, and run a business. But critics say it will be costly in the long term since climate change has the potential to worsen natural disasters and make Americans sicker. Legal challenges are expected. The U.S. has signed another trade deal, this time with Taiwan. And that's big since the U.S. is reliant on Taiwan for its production of computer chips. Under this deal, most of Taiwan's exports to the U.S. will be taxed at a 15% rate, the same as what other trading partners in the region pay, like Japan and South Korea. In return, the Trump administration says Taiwan agreed to remove or reduce 99% of its tariff barriers. That's expected to make it easier for the U.S. to sell cars, pharmaceutical drugs, and food products in Taiwan. But the most critical part of this deal may be about investing. Taiwanese companies are now slated to invest in the production of computer chips in the U.S. Taiwan also says American companies will be putting money into Taiwanese industries. Already this week, NVIDIA signed a land deal in Taipei to build a headquarters office. With another day of Olympic competition in the books, there's a lot to talk about on and off the ice. Yesterday began with American skier Breezy Johnson getting engaged at the finish of her run in the Alpine Super G medal event. Also, Rich Ruohonen became the oldest American Winter Olympian by getting some time in men's curling. And American Jessie Diggins, who's the most decorated cross-country skier in U.S. history, fought off an injury to win bronze in her event. American snowboarding superstar Chloe Kim won silver in the women's halfpipe, second only to a 17-year-old South Korean athlete who Kim mentored earlier in her career. Also, the American men's hockey team dominated Latvia in its debut, raising hopes of Team USA winning its first hockey gold since the 1980s Miracle on Ice. There's a lot more Olympics to go, too. Today is a big day for American figure skater Ilya Malinin, who is known as the quad god since he is the only skater to land a quad axel. The gold medal favorite sits atop the standings entering today's free skate. This weekend, there are also plenty of big events in skiing, snowboarding, speed skating, ice hockey, and more. There's a lot going on this weekend. For starters, NBA All-Star Weekend is happening on TNT. Tonight is the All-Star Celebrity Game, featuring popular singers, streamers, and pro athletes who typically play other sports. Tomorrow, it's events like the three-point contest and slam dunk contest. And Sunday is the big All-Star Game, featuring some of the biggest names in the league, like LeBron James, Devin Booker, Anthony Edwards, Jalen Brunson, and Kevin Durant. Also, tomorrow is Valentine's Day, so of course, it's time to celebrate all kinds of love, and fast food chains are getting into the spirit. White Castle is turning 300 of its locations into Love Castles. Restaurants like Burger King and Shake Shack have buy one, get one promos going today. Dave & Buster's has a date nights duo deal, and Pizza Hut is selling heart-shaped pizzas, while Krispy Kreme, Dunkin' Donuts, and 7-Eleven are selling heart-shaped donuts. Then, Monday is President's Day. This one is a federal holiday, so that means government offices will be closed, and services like the U.S. Postal Service will not be operating. It's also a big one for retailers with several sales already starting. If you're one of the people who gets the day off from work or school as well, enjoy the 3-day weekend. That's it for the main news today, but now it's time for Feel Good Friday, where we bring you one extra feel-good or positive news story before the weekend. But first, here's your main host, Erica Mandy, again with a word about our sponsor.
Most people have heard of microplastics and know they don't want them around, but yet don't realize they're still bringing them into their homes every day. That's why I've made the switch to Blue Land across all of my cleaning products in my home, especially at the start of the year when I'm rethinking routines and trying to build more sustainable habits at home. Certified by Cradle to Cradle, Blue Land products meet the highest standard of clean. They're effective yet gentle on people and the planet. From cleaning sprays and toilet bowl cleaner to dishwasher and laundry detergent tablets, Blue Land's 100% microplastic-free, EPA Safer Choice certified formulas are safe to use around my child, my pet, and even our plants. I love not having to choose between the safe option and what actually gets my house clean. And I want that to be the norm for everyone, not the exception. And I really do love all of their products. The spray cleaners, for example, include a lot of different options, multi-surface, glass and mirror, the list goes on, and they all work well. They smell super nice without being overpowering, and the color-coded refillable bottles make it fun and sustainable. Blue Land has a special offer for listeners. Right now, get 15% off your first order by going to blueland.com/newsworthy. You won't want to miss this. blueland.com/newsworthy for 15% off. That's blueland.com/newsworthy to get 15% off. I highly recommend these products.
Okay, now back to Feel Good Friday. In the spirit of Valentine's Day this weekend, we want to tell you a story about how true love can endure even the most challenging of obstacles. Just look to 77-year-old Michael O'Reilly and 78-year-old Linda Feldman. They were first married 39 years ago. Of course, in that time, they've gone through their share of challenges. Most recently, O'Reilly's dementia. There are now times when he can't remember his wife's name or even that she's his wife at all. And while that can, of course, be tough to deal with, the couple says in their case, it also has allowed them to fall in love over and over again. In fact, last year, when Feldman visited her husband at a memory care facility, he asked her a question she had already answered nearly 4 decades earlier. Will you marry me? And Feldman answered the same way, yes. When staff at the facility found out, they offered to plan a wedding. So last month, the couple actually got married a second time. This wedding was an intimate ceremony complete with family, friends, and caregivers. Their original wedding album was also on display. Staff members say the couple was overjoyed, and everyone made it clear, even though the fairy tale was different than the one they dreamed of, they still have a lot to celebrate. Thank you so much for listening today. We'll be back tomorrow with our special edition Saturday episode. And this is a fun one. We're talking to an entertainment critic about the movies to catch up on before the Academy Awards. Then we're off for President's Day on Monday, but join us again Tuesday for the next Daily News Roundup. For now, have a great weekend.